in the game that he completed it. They had a Clockwork, a Prophet, and an Alchemist as their core. You compare that to LGD, Dragon Knight, Gyrocopter, and Windrunner. Much better team fight lineup. At that point in the game, I felt they needed a Shadow Blade or a BKB early and had to find pickoffs, but he tried to farm his way out of it, and with that kind of a start, just was never going to happen, I feel.
Yeah, Windrunner had some amazing shackles that game. I definitely think that carried them through the mid game and definitely tipped the balance in LGD's favor. Also, as LD was saying, they didn't really have like explosive supports, nothing like Alina where they can immediately burst someone down.
Or
also,
the Sand King.
Right.
A Rubik, for that matter, for net.
The THD also didn't skill Macropyre, which was a little strange, but I guess their initiation wasn't ever with the... it wasn't very often with a hook shot into a cog and to just blow someone else inside the cog, because it can work against them. I saw an Epi into there one time. It lines you up for shackles because your team has to come inside. But also, it was mostly just like the Alchemist running in, but he was a little bit underfarmed. Pretty much even farm for Alchemist is underfarmed just because of Greevil's greed, and he wasn't able to keep up with the carries on the side of LGD, and they just had too many items on the Gyrocopter and the Dragon Knight. So very safe, calculated play from LGD. That is their style, and if you give them 2 or 3 carries like that and let them farm up, you're probably going to lose the game.
Yeah, and that's where, if you can get away with a Dragon Knight mid, that hero does way more for you in the mid game.
He even died once at Mushi early.
Yeah, Mushi had a solo kill, and again, fantastic laner, but you have to give him a hero that benefits from that good start. Clockwork, I know Bulba, if he's watching, will probably be writing me an essay about how Clockwork can make the difference, but it's not a Mushi hero. Let's be honest. He's not that he's a bad Clockwork player. There's only so much you can do. Hook has a pretty long cooldown until you get an Ags. You're limited in terms of how many plays you can make. If you're on a hero like Queen of Pain, Puck, Templar says, and OD, you can make plays constantly throughout the team fight, and you also get a chance to stay alive. Clockwork jumps in, and against that lineup, if you get to that point where Gyro has a BKB, Dragon Knight has a BKB, they just kill you. You hook them, and then they laugh. They pop Satanic and BKB, and they turn it around. So I wasn't a big fan of the draft, but credit where credit is due. LGD China, they're stable, they're solid. They've taken down Arch twice. This is becoming a bit of a rivalry. Granted, a slow and meticulous one, but these two teams are consistently push each other to the limit. Of course, guys, this has been a best of 3. We have 2 more matches headed your way. Coming up next is going to be Navi versus Rattlesnake, the match that I'm sure many of the European fans are excited for. At 18 SGT, should be getting started any moment now. I think we're actually past 18 SGT. Running a bit behind schedule because these games have been very long. And then our final match of the evening, MUFC versus Tongfu. With that being said, we will take a very quick break and we'll come back and we'll be live with Rattlesnake versus Navi. The Alienware upper bracket, day 1 of playoff action continues after this.
Welcome back to the Alienware Cup, sponsored by Alienware as well as MasterCard, and of course organized by DPM Interactive. I am Luminous. I'm joined by Bruno. A little bit more awake now, hopefully.
Hopefully, a little bit more awake because Navi game is incoming.
Rattlesnake game is
A
coming. I don't know what you're
rattlesnake.
talking about.
I don't know.
Yeah, of
Click.
course, Navi is the team that has been boot camping in China after the recent DreamHack performance, which I think they underperformed there.
They clearly underperformed. They lost to Dignitas in their defense, if you want to put it this way. They say they could pretty much, during DreamHack, they said, we can pretty much beat every team. The only team that gives us some trouble is Dignitas. They went in the quarterfinals against them. They lost. But again, against their defense, or in their offense, I don't know how you say that, they did go to China and they did not perform particularly well in the group stage.
I mean, hopefully they're going to be performing better and better because that's how boot camp goes. Maybe they're just getting a little bit more used to the surrounding, whether it's a food, whether it's a living space, whether it's the people that they're scrimming against.
Maybe it's a jet lag. I can relate to that.
Yeah, okay. That's loser talk. Hopefully that they will be winning a couple games. It's a best of threes. Rattlesnake is definitely a quote-unquote weaker opponent that they could be facing against their Chinese opponents. But what they do have to worry about, as we are seeing these Rattlesnake players, I see the one-row player, is that they're very, very, very versatile. I think they're the most versatile team in this tournament in terms of selection of heroes.
That's your hexagon has a point for versatility.
If have one, they will be like 12 out of 10.
12 out of 10.
Yeah, Luo definitely one of the player that sometimes jungle Doom, sometimes plays off-lane Doom. We're going to see Lamb, who plays just about everything on the team. He's
Lamb, former eHome player, right?
Yep.
Back to play the carry, back in TI2.
Kabu, their famous Clockwork player on the 4-row. All of these roles matter none at all.
Not much,
like, it's just
because
like
they rotate a lot.
Yeah, and of course, Neo always plays 5. Very famous for his Earthshaker back in the Nirvana China days.
Right, and let's see the hexagons. Yeah, there we have 8 on experience, 6 on team fight and game sense.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's like it feels kind of weak, you know.
Yeah, it does.
6 kind of feels like this PD score. Like I can't say 5, otherwise the fans will flame me. So they're pretty bad. So I'm going to put
this
a 6.
from 1 to 10, like in your scale, right?
Yeah.
This will be like a 2.
This is like a 2 to me. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a 1 would be like they're terrible. A 2 is like they're not terrible. They're not the worst, but they're not going to be shining on this at all.
So Rattlesnake terrible. That's what I got you from.
Well, I mean, when you had an 8 in experience, what does experience means? That you've been playing Dota for a long time. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You just win points for existing.
There you go.
No.
What flames? It's so 8 in experience means when crunch times get going, you know, you make the correct decisions because you've been there.
Isn't that
Look, they all kind of relate.
no. The
The
bottom one had something about that, like execution. Isn't that execution?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun.
All right.
I'm gonna execute you if you keep it up, mister.
Just having fun with your
Something
hexagons.
nice to say about those hexagons? Don't say anything at all.
I love the hexagons. I love the hexagons. I love their shape.
That's
I
my
love
baby,
their color.
Bruno.
You
That's
just
my
don't
baby.
like the way they're ranked.
I just don't like the way they're ranked.
All right, so here's the other team that not many people care too much about. This is their... I think this guy's called Xbox.
No, it's Havos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Havos.
Havos.
Okay, he's the one-row player.
This little guy, you probably don't know him. I'm gonna tell you about him. It's like this Ukrainian guy. Plays mid normally.
Is he a good player?
He has some promise.
Okay.
Maybe in the future he'll be able to perform very well. That guy used to play on another team, and now he plays at Navi. So he's kind of the new guy of sorts. Plays the off lane, but you know, one of those players that you sometimes forget about, but then surprises you as well.
Okay.
Just pay attention. This guy is tall. That's all I have to say. He's very tall.
I also saw a picture of him hugging Purge,
Yes.
and I'm very jealous.
And he used to have like very, very long hair.
Yeah.
That's another thing about him.
Okay.
That guy, I think that about when he was 15 years old, people were saying that he was the best player in the world.
Yeah.
So having to grow up with such a like weight on your shoulders,
Yeah.
he's I think 20 or 21 now, very mature player.
Okay.
Very smart player. That's how we're going to describe
I'll
him.
withhold my karaoke flames for now.
Okay. And now see, game sense 8, experience 9. This team is clearly better than Rattlesnake.
There you go. Let's call it a day here. Let's
That's
move on to the next best of 3.
Okay. No need to play the game.
Yeah.
The hexagon is better than the other hexagon.
I think this hexagon needs to be updated.
Okay.
For the recent
Okay,
plays.
let's real time. What
real time update.
What would you change?
Experience.
No, don't worry, Kawa. We're not going to force you into update. It's just like talking updating.
Experience definitely 10.
Experience definitely 10. Okay.
Because they've been there, they've done that.
So
right?
it's one more year, and they get 1 extra point of experience.
Well, player skill, I will actually knock it down a bit. I don't think they excel in individual skill, which they definitely have a ton of.
I have agreed.
Their team play
I have
is
to agree with
the
that.
team play is excellent. Their reaction to creative drafts, their reaction to crazy situations is excellent. I don't think they excel in players' skills. That's my call on it.
I have to agree with the 7 in drafting. I think that they know how to play, and Papi is a very good captain, but they don't have the versatility that other teams have, particularly Rattlesnake.
The new Navi does not.
The new Navi does not.
The old Navi did.
Yeah, they
That's all
did
I'm
have.
saying.
But I have to agree with that. I would up 1 point in game sense.
Yeah, I agree.
9. And
So execution comes down to what Havos or Xbox is thinking.
yeah,
What-
which is kind of funny because he's this guy that is going very aggressive and sometimes hits and miss. So if you want to keep an 8 there, I will allow you to put a 7 if you want it.
he allows it.
I will allow you.
Okay, so quickly before we hang it back here, introduce our casters today. Where's your call on this one? Rattlesnake or Navi?
I think Rattlesnake will catch the Navi by surprise the first game, win the first game. Navi will react on the second game, win the second game. We're going to a very long and drawn out game 3 just to see LD and Merlini suffer.
I'm thinking 2-1 Navi. Normally I say 2-1 Rattlesnake, but they haven't been doing well at all lately. So just
I see the guys having fun already.
All right, let's show those fun guys on camera, and it's gonna be LD and Merlini.
Off you go.
This guy, he is really a wet towel tonight, isn't he? It's okay, Merlini. We've brought in the excitement. We've brought in the loud voices, the happy people.
Woo!
Welcome to the desk.
Get excited.
Of fun, pleasure, and fantastic.
What are your
Dota.
predictions, LD?
Hell yeah!
High
Dota!
five!
Dota! Let's go. Navi versus Rattlesnake, best of 3, game 1. The draft's
Predictions.
about to be underway, but predictions.
Before we go into the draft. I say 2-0 Navi. They started off 1-7 in the Alienware Cup, and they are not happy about it. Not many people are, but I think they have something to prove. They've gotten over their jet lag, which only whiny babies cry about, and they are ready to roll Rattlesnake. What about you?
2-0, Navi. Let's go.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Could be taken out of context. The draft now underway. It's pretty early into the bans and the picks, but it gives us time to talk a lot about these two teams, Merlini, and Wisp has been left through, and
So
this
talk-
is generally
Oh,
worked
that's-
out very poorly. And when an Asian team gives a Western team the Wisp, normally this has been a recipe for a quick loss.
Hello, free rares. Why don't you tell me a little about Rattlesnake's performance in Group A, since I was not here for that?
They did decently. They traded with LGD China, who was not in top form. I think every match, I believe they had 2 ties and then 1-2-0 and 1-0-2. I could be wrong about that, but or though 2-0 may have been, I think it was a forfeit win over LGDN. But Rattlesnake, a pretty solid team. They generally don't pick a whole lot of late game. They prefer to just pick aggressive lineups so they can find a lot of kills early. They love their dual lane. Darkseer, Clockwork. Occasionally we'll see a Doom pick out of them, sometimes Queen of Pain mid. If they go for a carry, it's a high impact early to mid game carry like a Gyro. Sure, he can scale well, but someone who can get involved in the fights early. And they've gone for Earthshaker and Jakiro. Long range, incredibly powerful in a tri-lane, not good roamers, however. And it looks to me like they want to be pretty aggressive here.
Right, and already we see a change in the draft from the Eastern teams that we saw before. No Alchemist first pick, no Shadow Demon, no defensive triple laners, but regardless, I think it's going to be an exciting game already with this draft. EO usually guarantees a lot of excitement, especially when in the hands of a Western team, and they definitely played it a little bit different than Zenith. Zenith, I think, one of the few teams to experiment with Wisp, but it is not what we typically see. So Navi traditionally plays it like the super aggressive Wisps.
And Navi, they've gone for the early IO. They get the Darkseer now. It really shores up their lanes a lot. This means that you have a solo who can win most 1v1 matchups. Generally, when you give away Wisp, you want to contest that Wisp. And if you pick a solo like Darkseer, who does very well 1v1, then Rattlesnake are somewhat caught between a rock and a hard place. Either they give the Darkseer a really good start and he comes and bails out the tri-lane with an early mech, or they try and start down the Darkseer, which means the Wisp gets a fast level 6, gets out of control pretty quickly. That's the theory behind these picks as far as I can see, and I think it's a really strong pairing.
Funnick has a really fantastic Darkseer too. I don't see him lose that lane very often, but they are going to ban one of the few heroes that can't actually beat a Darkseer in a 1v1 matchup, and that is the Weaver. And I don't think there are too many other heroes that pair very well versus Darkseer. There's still a Clockwork available. There's still a safe lane farmer such as Gyrocopter, or I guess I've seen Luna a couple of times. There is a Lone Druid too, but none of these are that great versus Darkseer. Rattlesnake will have a Kunkka as well, so they have they by far are the better team fight right now. So much AoE on their lineup.
Yeah, a lot of AoE. Also a hero that can catch Wisp. If she tries to tether away and escape, you X her, you pull her back in. Same for Darkseer too. I like this pick a lot. Also gives them a very strong hero who could be in a part of a tri-lane. Can go mid and do pretty well. It allows them to group as 5 early, and that's key for Rattlesnake. You've given away a Wisp. You do not want to be trying to split push when your supports are as immobile and clunky as Earthshaker Jakiro. Very weak defensively to relocate ganks because Fissure, sure, it's got that turn animation buff on the hero, but still has a decent cast animation windup. Can easily be punished. CK is actually in the pool. I wonder what combo hero Na'Vi has in mind for this IO. CK's been the go-to hero, but there's so much AoE, those illusions might not be very effective. Maybe you go for something different here.
Yeah, what they need right now is a combo breaker, and usually you can have it with any sort of magic immune hero, whether it's a BKB or a Juggernaut or a Life Stealer, but those two heroes haven't banned out. I would love to see them pick up a Tidehunter right now. Tidehunter kind of fell off the map just because of Life Stealer. Life Stealer just destroys that hero, but they really need something to counter-initiate if they start off with an X marks a spot into a torrent, and then Fissure, Ice Path, Dual Breath, Global Silence, Macropyre, all of those are just going to destroy them unless they get their BKBs. So Na'Vi will pick up a safe pick, safe carry, Gyrocopter, natural BKB hero, tons of AoE, great team fight, and great all game.
I'm very curious how Rattlesnake plan to lane this. They've now gone back for a Silencer. With the Earthshaker and Jakiro already selected, dare I say it, this may be a solo mid Silencer. I know you're a big fan of that. It would most likely be a 1v1 versus Puck. And that's a matchup Silencer can really dominate.
Yeah, I am a little bit scared for him, though. I think he is quite vulnerable to Wisp ganks, though, unless they're really, really good about paying attention about the map and using their global or Earthshaker being there to react to these ganks, or even Jakiro or Kunkka. I think that he is quite liable to feed against whatever they pair with the Wisp. And that is the real big question right now, if they're actually going to pick another hero to combo with it, whether it be an Ursa or something like that, or just going to stick with EO and Gyrocopter.
Traditionally, Rattlesnake has often favored dual lanes. I wonder if they could go for them this game. They could run Jakiro Kunkka safe lane, and that's actually enough lockdown to make life a bit difficult for Darkseer. You do have to farm with the melee hero. Not really ideal. And then in the off lane, they're on the Dire side. They can do those fissure blocking shenanigans, pull the creeps to the Ancients. We've seen quite a few teams from Asia doing that lately. And then maybe run the mid Silencer. Perhaps something, I was going to say an off lane Weaver, but Weaver's banned. But some sort of tanky off laner. Actually not sure who's left at this point if they want to go that route, but I feel their draft's a little awkward just because these heroes are not particularly mobile. They need level 6 on Kunkka and Silencer. Rattlesnake really have to have a good laning stage, but I feel just because of how elusive Navi's lineup is with Tether, Surge, and the Puck, it's actually going to be pretty difficult to find kills.
Yeah, I think they could also do well with a Tinker, actually. I think he works pretty well against their lineup, and Martian Machines just destroys most of their thing. I think it's like a pretty safe pick, and they can get Earthshaker to babysit with them, but I actually don't expect them to pick it up. But I think it would work quite well.
And can farm the Ancients, so if Earthshaker's pulling the creeps there, stacking the Ancients periodically, you might be able to get greedy with an off-lane Tinker. Maybe it's something they'd go for. Of course, Tinker is rather vulnerable to Wisp ganks until he gets his Blink Dagger, and that takes quite a bit of gold to farm.
They do have a lot of anti-Wisp, though. If they gank Tinker, they have Earthshaker to follow up, Jakiro, Kunkka. All these are good at taking out heroes that are clumped up if you bring the fight to you. And also, Silencer is also a great, great combo breaker. So, still awaiting the last pick from Rattlesnake is actually going to be a Treant Protector, so the tanky pick that LD was talking about.
This could be a 4 support lineup, just in terms of they have 4 heroes who can play support. They don't have many who scale incredibly well. Silencer can to some extent if he's stealing a lot of intelligence. And this Treant Protector, you get Treant Protector generally. I guess the Living Armor is nice versus relocate ganks.
Yeah, but
I feel when you give away Wisp, you shouldn't be planning on letting them get relocate early. You should be planning on denying that.
I would prefer aggressive here. I don't really like Treant Protector here. His Living Armor isn't actually going to be that useful. They have Flak, they have Rocket Barrage, they have Dark Seal, Ion Shell procs, as well as the Spirit from the EO. There's only 4 of their heroes right now. And last pick to round out their lineup will be the Chen.
This is pretty much your classic Na'Vi draft for their current roster. Whereas for Rattlesnake, this is a rather curious beast. We'll have to try and discover its mysteries over the course of this game. It's game 1 of a best of 3. Rattlesnake versus Na'Vi. Here we go. Luo going to be playing the Silencer. He has been pulled, starting with the Null Talisman. It looks like it will be a farming Silencer. Lamb going to be taking up the reins of the Kunkka. Early Bracer for him. He's also been pulled. Kabu, handling your Jakiro, not on his signature Clockwork. Sagam or Neo, Luminous mentioned, legendary Earthshaker from the good old days. Can he be a legendary player here? He'll need to be, because Rattlesnake have concocted a bit of an unusual draft, to say the least. Last, but certainly not least, it will be Icy, handling your Treant Protector. And on the side of Na'Vi, they've traveled to China. They went 1-7 in the group stages, but they get a clean slate now. Let's see if they can get off to a good start. Lamb is going to find Havost. Could be our first blood. There's no Fissure. There's no Ice Path or Torrent attempted. Not even going to make it go. They're worried about some sort of counter initiation. So we'll introduce Na'Vi. Havost playing the Gyrocopter, rushing the Tranquil Boots. Kuroki on the Wisp. We do have Dendi, Oppa Dendi on your Puck. He's pulled. He's going mid. Funnick, offlane Darkseer, and then last but not least, Puppy on his signature Chen with a smoke picked up. Pretty much the most standard possible lineup that Na'Vi could have picked. And I do want to reiterate, they got Wisp, and the win rate for Eastern teams when they give away Wisp against Western teams is quite poor. It's a small sample size, but the results have not been encouraging. And
I'm not in the game.
Merlini trying to reconnect to the game. We will see a Sentry Ward was placed at the Magic Bush earlier. Na'Vi probably going to deward this soon. I don't know if they saw it. Actually, a Rocket Barrage on Neo. Drops the Fissure. No, gets Tether Stun. Can't get it off. Very vulnerable to that. Now the Ice Path comes through. He looks to run away. Dropping low. Living Armor is deployed. Keeps him safe. And they'll back off, but it's too late. From long range, Kuroki, the killing blow was administered. First blood to Na'Vi. Wisp tri-lane. And they've already gotten it. My goodness, that is a horrendous way for Rattlesnake to start this game.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Living Armor didn't come up earlier, but again, doesn't do too much versus Flat Cannon. I like that Na'Vi is doing something that they're very, very comfortable with. Dendi mid on the Puck, and Funnick offlane on the Darkseer, Wisp and Puppy on the Chen. This is something that they're very comfortable with. I think they tried to experiment with Havost on a support role, and that just did not work out well for them.
I'm really surprised Lamb didn't start with a Stout Shield. He actually started with a Bracer, and against Puck, I feel it's a bit of a pea shooter, but if you have the Stout Shield, it really mitigates that damage. So, not sure about this item build, but he does have Living Armor on his side. That will somewhat make up for it.
That was a nice play from Havost there. As he Tether stunned the Earthshaker, he went around to the backside of him, so he did not get Fissure stunned.
Oh, you mean for the first blood?
Yeah, for the first blood. It was a nice movement by him.
And that is what I was trying to touch on briefly in the draft, is Twin-Headed Dragon and Earthshaker have pretty big windups for their stuns, and that's why I was saying they're not really the best supports versus Wisp, because if she can get the Tether stun off more or less instantly, and there's not a whole lot they can do to cast those spells in time if they get caught out. Kabu, tangoing his way, forced to retreat from this bottom lane. And top lane is going to be Funnick, creep skipping, not getting anywhere near Icy. So they are running a farming Treant Protector. I think this is a first for me anyway. Whenever we've seen Treant, it's always a sort of a jungler. When Goblak's playing it, he'll do some pulls here and there, but is not getting farm priority. It will mean very early levels into Living Armor, and it should be maxed by like the 6-7 minute mark. What can they make happen with it? That's the big question. So far, not really accomplishing too much. Kunkka only 7-2 mid, not killing Dendi, not dominating him. In fact, the CS there, Dendi's winning. He's 7-3. We'll see a Haste Rune bottled up by Funnick. And then your tri-lane, off the bat, Silencer CSing a bit better than the Gyro, but it's very close, and they did get first blood here.
Sorry, I'm having some issues with my scrolling speed.
Well, once you get that sorted out, we'll continue talking. In the meantime, the Magic Bush Sentry is still here, and it's just out of D-Ward range, I believe. Now we haven't spotted this. It has slowed down Puppy a bit. It's also slowed down this Wisp level progression. So that ward is actually doing a lot to help keep Rattlesnake from falling too far behind. Dendi, really aggressive mid. Posting up, takes a huge Tidebringer to the face. Lamb, he's gone for 2 points of Tidebringer. Your standard build so far. I'm curious to see when we get to. Oh, top lane, Icy's in trouble. Ion Shell, Funnick's trying to burn him down. He's got Surge in 2 seconds. Icy on the run. He's got fresh Living Armor. It really does not do much in this situation. Puppy driving the